Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of series where we are creating co-located mixed reality game. If you have not seen part 1 yet, I highly recommend to check it out first because I have covered all the basics of creating local MR game. In this video, we have planned to dive deep inside the code section and the architecture part, and we will understand how this balloon blast game is working so that you can create your own local mixed reality game. Without wasting any time, let's switch to the screen. The URL of this Git project can be found in description. The easy steps to download this project is either you can do a fork so that you can see the same copy on your own GitHub, or the other option is click on drop down and then download zip. I have already downloaded this project. You can see in this folder, it contains asset, packages and project settings. From now, what you have to do, you have to click on the empty space, copy the path and then go to your Unity, click on add add project from disk, paste the path here, click enter, and then open the project. So you can see you have the project blast on your Unity Hub. From here, you have to just click and launch the project. Once the project is ready to use, you can see you will be landed to an empty scene. From here, what you have to do, you have to click on build profiles, then go to scene list, and then click on the first scene, which is gameplay scene. Double tap again, and you are ready with our scene. This contains all the game objects and every part which makes this game all possible. And step by step, we will be understanding everything. So as we are building this application for mixed reality, which in turn will be played on MetaQuest headset. So for this, we have to click on Android and then expand this. We will switch our platform to Android so that we can build APKs which are able to run on Android platforms. To test the application in local space, means in the editor, we have to install a package which is named by multiplayer. So what you have to do is, if you are trying to create this package or use this package in another project, you can go to package manager and search multiplayer in Unity registry, and you can see this multiplayer play mode which has been provided in Unity 6 version. So now to use it, click on window, then go to multiplayer and click on multiplayer play mode. You can create up to 4 instances. So we will be trying out with 2 instances. So click on player 2 and wait for a few seconds until it gets activated. Now we have two copies of game window, one which is already provided in game editor and the second is which is being duplicated by this multiplayer package. Before testing out with two players, make sure you do two steps. First, disable this background music because it will be played on both the devices and it will repeat. Second, what you have to do is click on event system and then you have to disable pointable canvas module because it will stop our input system and you will be unable to test it out in editor. So make sure to disable and make sure to enable again when you are trying to build in for Android APK. Now you are ready to try this game. Okay, so to test it out, you just have to open both windows and you can directly click on play and wait for a few seconds before it gets started for both the windows. Okay, so both the windows are ready and you can see if you press Alt tab, you have two windows now to try your game simultaneously. So in the first, the main editor, I will join as a host. I will click start and create a new game. It will say that you have created the game and one player joined and it's waiting for 3 pinches to start the game. Before doing this pin gesture, what you have to do, you have to go to window 2, which is the player 2. You have to click start here and then rather than create game in this window, click on join game. Now you can see we have two players joined in a game with same system. And this is how we test local multiplayer games, right? Now what you have to do is you have to do pin gesture in the Android, means in your actual game. But to simulate pinch, what we have done is you have to click on P key to do the simulation. So you can press 3 times P to simulate 3 pinches in the editor. And you can see it says waiting for everyone to get ready. You can press Alt tab and go to player 2, then press P P, P. So you have done 3 pinches in player 2 also, and for both the players, game is started. Right? You can see the balloons are being synced. There are red balloons in the same position for both the team, and the game ends. Right? Because the time is set to a small number. But to try it out, you can see in the editor mode, which is in the host mode, you can again restart, and for both the players you will jump back to the initial screen. And this is how you can test again and again your local mixed reality game in editor. So far we have covered how to test these games, local player games in editor. So now you are comfortable with using this multiplayer tool. You just have to click on window and then create new players, and you just have to hit play, and then you can easily test out with 4 players maximum. Okay, now come the major part where we will be understanding in depth about the game scripts, which are these connection handlers, balloon game managers, game UI managers, and gameplay handler. So these 4 to 5 scripts I have like specially mentioned here. You can go to my GitHub repo again, and then you can go to this flowchart. I have pasted 2 flowcharts, so we will start with this section. These are the main script names, which contains balloon game manager, which handles game UI of the game. Like then gameplay handler is definitely the part where you start spawning your UI sections also, and the spawning main part, right? Spawning the balloons, and this balloon should be synced for all the players. So this is a complete section of multiplayer game. This is not related to co-location or mixed reality spatial anchor, because I have separated the code. This XR connection handler is the main script which is responsible to connect both the headsets, headset 1 and 2, with the Bluetooth section, which they share their spatial anchor. So extra connection handler is a different script you can use in your different project also, because they just maintains the anchor part. And balloon game manager is same as other manager scripts in the game, which handles the multiplayer section. Okay, and then of course we have an XR player. Whenever a new player adds to the room, a prefab is spawned named as XR player, and it is responsible to handle an item handler, which makes this pin gesture, which like whenever you pinch your gesture and you have an item on your hand, and this is also synced, right? So XR player and hand item handler are the 2 parallel scripts which are working. So these are the basic 6 to 7 scripts, and now we will be understanding about XR connection handler in depth, and then we will see the code. Okay. So to understand about XR connection handler and the flow, how this local mixed reality games connect through spatial anchors, I have created a flow chart for easy understanding. And also I have opened the script which has been in already available in the project, which we have to understand and we are using in our balloon blast game. Okay, so to start with, connection handler script is definitely handling the co-location and group sharing part, also initializing the NGO, which is like Unity netcode for game object networks, starting with client and the host part. Okay, the client and the host part. So to start with, the script is being divided into sections. Of course, the life cycle method, which contains awake, start, on, recenter, and destroy. Like these are the basic mono behavior scripts, and one of them which is created self-created, which is on recenter, which is when called whenever Meta is recentering the headset. Now to start with, this is the main part we have to understand, which is host setup. So host setup contains of 4 specific functions, but to understand, these are the helper functions, and the main script, which is the main function, which is start host setup. So what we have to do in host setup is we have to create a group metadata, right? We will start by creating a group metadata. So you can see here, I am getting the IP, okay, and then I am creating a group metadata. Okay, so this group metadata specially is designed for my use case. If you or this project use case, you can like add multiple data based on your requirements. So this is not a spatial class. This is just an serializable struct where I have added display name, IP, and host name. So you can add multiple data to be transferred through your co-location, discovery API, and group sharing data. So this is customized. Okay. So what we have done here is we have just created a small struct which contains display name, IP, and host name. Okay. So this is our struct, and we are trying to serialize this. So what we are doing, we are converting this data to bytes. Okay, and then we are start advertising. Okay, so we are advertising so the host is advertising for other players with this bytes data, which is this metadata, right? So this metadata will be passed to other players. Then what we are doing is we are creating and sharing a spatial anchor or synced anchor. So in the host part, what we are trying to do is we are trying to achieve a flow where we create data share to other people, then I create an anchor and then share that anchor to the group. Okay, and the third and the last part is after this successful, like you can see I am returning if any of the step is failed, because the flow will get failed and the connection will not work properly. So that's why I've created a public event to notify my other script or the UI script to say that enable the host button again and do other stuff. So on advertising failed, this invoke and you can like register anything. And the last step, first two step we have understood already, and in the last step what we are doing, we need to start the host. So the IP we got from the local device, we are using that IP and setting the connection data in the transport layer, and then straightforwardly we are starting the connection through our host, like the network connection unity netcode. So we are doing this three step. First we are creating our metadata, then we are start advertising with that metadata, and third we are like starting and host through NGO like Unity Netcode, and we are sharing this specific data. So the host is being started with this specific ID I have shared. So you got the point already, right? What we are doing. Let's quickly go to the client part, and then we can clearly understand how things are working. So if I just like hide this setup and go to client setup, and in this we have two functions which we have to understand. So if I hold, create a screenshot to make things easy. So whenever a user clicks on start client, first thing we do is we like start listening to co-location session discovered. Okay, so this is the function provided by Meta API, which is co-location session. So it allows us to call a function to attach an event, any event, which whenever a new session is discovered, whenever a host start discovering, we will be pinged with this function. Okay, so I will get an information on group discovery. Okay, whenever I start discovering, so I will like add a event listener. Okay, and then I will start discovering, and once I start discovering, I will receive an event because host has already been started advertising. So if the host has started advertising and network connection is already been like running with the start discovering advertisement part. So what we will do whenever we like add a listener, we directly been point by like XR connection handler, we will receive a metadata. So as soon as we start discovery and the host is already advertising, we get data, the group metadata which already sent by host from to the client. Okay, so this is how the connection works. It's very simple, right? Star has to send data to our script, and our script will send data back to our client. This is very simple, right? Only two functions method. And once we get the session data, we will like disconnect our function from the event listener. We will set our group ID actively, and then we will load the anchors which host has shared, and then we will get that group data, and we will deserialize it, and then definitely do the same. We will get our transport layer, and then we will set the IP which is the host IP, like the metadata host IP which host has sent, and then we will start our client connection. We will start our client connection, and this is how the entire process is working. To summarize quickly, host starts the group metadata. To just clear it up for you guys again, so just summarizing everything quickly, host creates some metadata with this structure in our case, and then he start advertising, and then he starts the server with that API, start becoming host for network player, like for networking thing. Then what our client does is client start discovering, and our XR connection manager handler specifically receive, like our client receives group metadata from the XR connection handler, and then with the idea we receive, we start client. And this is how easily we can connect both the players. Okay, so this is all about XR connection handler. You can like check out this script. This is being beautifully managed and like divided into section, which is the lifecycle methods and client setups. And there are of course two utils method, which is first serialize to byte array and second is deserialize from byte array, and init alignment and alignment to the anchors. Whenever an anchor is created, our camera rig will set to 0 0, and then we will inverse the rotation point and we will recenter our camera towards the anchor point. And this is how we all our means all the players in the local space get synced through host, client, and XR connection handler scripts. So I think you got the point. So after this connection handler part, the connection is established, right? Now the time is to understand about how the game works. So there are multiple scripts which are responsible for the gameplay. So the first script we will be understanding is Balloon Game Managers. Now we will quickly wrap up other scripts so the game loop is completed. So this script contains a game state which is responsible to sync the state of the game for all the players, which have non-initialized player for waiting for players, all players ready, game started and game finished. Simple game state for like we usually do in our multiplayer game or state management games. There is a struct which is serializable and it consists of all the player data which is required to sync, which is a fixed string 64 bytes. We cannot share string in our RPC calls on the network variables. So we have created this fixed string 64 bytes. It is a player ID. Then we have bool is ready, score, client ID, and pair ID. Then we have done the basic serializable part, which is like required for net code, right? We need to serialize these. So you can understand this thing in the Unity netcode documentations. So this script also have been like divided into sections. First, we have lifecycle method, which contains start, on network spawn, on network tick, and restart. Okay, so the main functions we have to say is the player registrations here. So first, whenever a player is spawned, he sends a player ID to us and then a client ID also. This client ID is what netcode for game object gives us, and this player ID is custom generated whenever a player is spawned. And then we manually search for the player in the network list that we have a network. So to maintain the players, we created a network list of this player data. So each player have all the players data, so we can show the informations like player name, player score, and everything to all. So you can understand we have this player data, these five items, and these five items, these five variables are being synced to each players. So this is how we create local games so that we can share data smoothly and as quick as possible together. So when register player is called, we like check or is this player ID is already been there or not. If not, then we create a new player ID and then we like add to our players list. Okay, but if it is not equal, then we will like assign it to the already existing, and if the player is new, then we will create a new player data, and then we add the player data to our players list. And then after few seconds, like we will initialize the game. Okay, so for example, if the first person join, for example host, of course definitely the host will be the first person to join, we are already aware of that. So if the game is not initialized and the first player join, then we directly push that player or the game session to waiting for the players. So this is the easy script where we understand about register player, the function part, and the remove player is like way simpler. We just have to check for the ID and then we remove the player from that index. So these are the two major functions you have to understand, like in the game balloon game manager. And of course we are maintaining the states. So for maintaining the states, we have a network variable current game state, and it changes whenever there is a state change or something happens. So for example, if you go to life cycle methods and you can check on the network tick, for example, if the game is in the started mode and the game timers reach to a game time limit, the timer value to is reached to our total game time, then the current value is being changed to game finish. And definitely it can be only done by the host, not everyone can do that. So the current game value is changed, and whenever the current value changes, current game state is changed, so this event is being listened to all the clients or all the scripts in the game. So for example, if the current game state is being changed to game started to game finished, or as we saw here that it changed from initial to the game player waiting player. So we go to game UI manager, and in the start method, you can see, for example, if I come to start, you can see I find the game manager, and then I will get the game state. If I have any value change, I will like call this function on game state change. There is a switch state where depending on which state now the game has changed, I will do the actions accordingly. For example, if things are not initialized, I will like hide all the screens and do some basic setup. For example, start screen true and selections screen to false, because I want to start with the game with start screen. Definitely. Then waiting players, I will do some stuff. I will start listening to the pinch, and then I will start a co-routine where I am listening for some pinches. Oh, my bad. I am listening for some pinches. I will wait for a few seconds. I will create the UI fill to 0.68. This is something related to UI. You can check. Then I will do a while loop where my pinch counter is less than my total pinch count, and I will wait for the pinch. Once three pinches are done, on player ready will be called, and once the all player ready is called, I will notify that game manager that this player is ready. So this is the loop, right? You got the point. Whenever a new player adds, we change this game. Whenever a new player starts the game session or joins the session, this event is been updated that the game state is changed. The UI manager will listen, and then whenever a player is ready, the script updates the game manager again that set player ready server RPC. Okay, so this is the small flow. You can definitely check everything, see things, try it out, because it is a very in-depth flow. I can't go much deeper, but overview, you I can show you the overview part. And this is the gameplay handler, which is the same, right? But this is a small one. This also takes the game manager reference and listen to on game state change. Whenever on value changes, we call this function on game state changed, and this does only two methods. Whenever not initialized, we like stop spawning, and whenever game started, we start spawning the balloons, and whenever game finished, we stop spawning the balloons. So this is all for now this gameplay handler is doing. The basic script understanding is completed. Now let's have a quick look at Unity Editor, and I will show you the hierarchy. So in the event system, of course, we have to check this pointable canvas module for the build part if you are building for your MetaQuest, and then the connection handler and network manager, which is responsible to like connect through Unity netcode for game object. We are using Unity transport layer, which we are like updating in runtime with our own IP of the headset. Then this is Balloon Game Manager, which only have a public variable with game time. You can change it. Then we have a Game UI Manager, which is responsible to handle the UI of the game which we are using. So we have like around four sections, which is Start Panel, where we have this Start section. In this Start Panel, we have two sections: Start Menu and then Selection Menu of Create Game or Join Game. So this Create Game and join game quickly just call two functions. Either we need to like do a on start game, or either we need to on join game. Okay, and this in turn call that start host setup and start client setup, which you already understand in the flow. So this is start panel, and there is wait for player, where we have this UI with a gif and three time pinch. We are waiting for the pinch, and we have a join section above. The third one is gameplay UI, where we have this timer and the player score is updated in runtime. Correct. And the last one is the scoreboard, where we have the three panels which are being aligned using vertical layout group: first rank, second rank, and third rank. So if we have four player, the fourth player name will not appear. We will only like show the top three players. So this code is handled by game UI manager. So game UI manager consists of all the UI references, all the panels on the other references, then score panels of also. So you can see we have three score panels: first rank, second rank, and third rank. So we are using the loop, and then we are passing the information in the loop. Okay, so this is game UI manager. Then we have gameplay handler, which only is responsible for passing the reference of the right hand, and balloon spawn handler, which is the basic main what we say synced network game object script, which is responsible for spawning the balloons. So we have some public variables. You can like initialize like the spawn count, max counts, and you can change some values and play with it. Okay. So this is also an interesting script to explore how the balloons are being spawned and how they are synced to other players. The concept is same. We are using netcode for game objects, right? So the balloon which are spawned, which is this variable, this prefab. So this balloon is having a network transform layer. So what we are doing in this gameplay, host is what we say, host is spawning these balloons, like spawning approximately 30 balloons, and then we are using a pool to like respawn these balloons, and then they are network transformed, so each player gets the position of uh, the balloons at the sync position, right? So this is how we are doing. And we have multiple sections. For example, in the balloon script we have reference of balloon particles. We have 4 balloon particles and 4 balloon types. So the particles are being aligned with the indexing. So the yellow particle have a yellow balloon, green with green, pink with pink, and orange with orange. So what we are doing in the script, we are like maintaining a type index. So if I quickly go through this script, so balloon script is also a network synced script because I want to pass all the information of balloon to each players to maintain the colors, the sound effect, the timings, and everything. So it is also a network behavior, the balloon script, and this is spawned by host. And whenever the script is spawned, it sets its own initial values, like the type index is being updated by client host, and the on value change whenever the value is changed by host, we like quickly loop through the balloon type and we activate. So if the orange balloon is being spawned by a host, every other client will like change the spawned texture of the balloon to the host texture, so it matches. For example, the first person is being viewing a orange balloon at the xyz portion, so the other clients will also look at the exact orange balloon at xyz portion. Okay, so then we are handling the pop elements. So there are 2 ways we can pop. Either if we have a collision, if we have a blast where we get a collision with an object with pinch edge, and whenever we have a blast we will blast the object. Either if we have host we will directly execute, otherwise we will like do a server rpc, which is like the basic of and netcode, right? The basic of networking. And if we are have a push, we will just push the ball server rpc. We are calculating a normal and then apply some force. Easy stuff. Okay, so this is all about balloons and the types of balloons, how we are handling. And this is the way we are trying to sync balloons with each other. We are creating this network transform to the other persons, and we are handling the textures part. And we have a rigid body, and also we have a script of balloon floating, which is a simple script which like have this force, adding tilt. So this is a randomizer floater which like gives different speed to different balloons, different force to different balloons, so that it feels like a random floating effect on the balloons. So to try out this balloon and explore more about this balloon and the trail effect, what you can do is you can like quickly go to your build profile, go to scene list, and select this gameplay scene. In the same folder, I have also pasted a new scene which is balloon test, specifically for like playing with balloon. There is already a game object spawned with balloon, and if you hit play in this scene, so in the runtime, like in the game mode, of course, the simulation of balloon works, and the tail effect is also very like easy to understand how that tail effect is working. Uh, these have 2 scripts. Like we have an animation rig which is responsible for the rig effect, and other is the part where we are rendering the line renderer, and this makes the effect of uh, like tail. Okay, so if I go to tail root, and you can see I have an animation rig and the bone renderer, you can see the bones. I have used this way. If there is any other way, we can like discuss on the chat. So this is a tail renderer, bone renderer, and I am using a line renderer on top of tail renderer and disabled all the mesh. So this is a line renderer which is being rendered. So if I like increase the size, you can see like this is a line renderer, And if we are already in a play mode, so if I like go to select to our balloon and increase the size, disable the gizmos, and if you move, you can see the tail effect, right? So in the next video, I will try my best to like explain how we achieve this and how we can use this effect. But as I have added this balloon tail effect in this project, I prefer you explore and understand yourself, and you will like have fun trying it out. So this is all about balloons, and I think this scene is more than enough to like play with balloon. I have made this new scene so you can test out and play with balloon how things are working, how we have synced with other parameters, the like what we say this types and everything. Okay. Now let's go to the final part where we will be understanding how to build and deploy on your own MetaQuest headset so that you can try this game with like with your friend or you can play alone. So click on gameplay scene again, go to this main scene. You can turn the music on because you want it in your game. And if you want to change the music file, you can change from the background and do your own stuff. Go to your event system, make sure you have this pointable canvas on, and for the initial part, like for the starting, if you want to learn and try it out on your own, in the game UI manager, there is in-game debug console also. If you turn it on, you can see a debug menu. So whenever you try to build and you press on start, restart, and if in any case you have some errors, you can use this debug menu and you can figure out if things are working or not. I have used it every time and it helps a lot. Like you should be aware your code is working properly or not in the play mode as expected, because there are no other way to find it out. So you can turn this in-game debug console on, and you can also disable whenever you are like okay with that your this build will work fine or not. So this three steps before you do build. Then if you are ready to build, go to build profile, go to Android, then make sure you have gameplay scene connected, hit build, quickly create a new folder named build, and then in this folder name your apk whatever you like. I will of course name it as blast or balloon blast game, and hit enter, say yes, and say yes again. Now you just have to wait for a few seconds and you will be ready with your own apk or your own game you have done. Here we go. We have a APK which we can install on our headset and try playing the game. Before that, we have to do one step which you make sure you also do, because then you will not able to like play mixed reality experience with other players. So the email ID you have used in your headset should be a part of a developer organization. Make sure that. And there are two other ways, but I'm not sure you will able to like understand those, but I will quickly say that the developer is a test user from the developer organization owning the app, or the developer is invited by a developer organization to any of release channel other than live production release channel. So the best way is you just create your own organization if you have not already made. Then the email ID which is logged in the meta headset you are trying, just make sure that you that email is being added to the organization, or the email should be the member of that organization. And that's all you have to do with the email part. Just create an organization and email should be part of any specific organization. Okay, so this is a specific part you have to do. Also quickly go to your unity project, and in the section search oculus, and there is oculus platform settings. Quickly click on that, go to inspect, and you have a section where there is an oculus id. You can quickly add your own oculus id in this section, and I suggest you just create a developer account, then you add a new project and just add that email id. Then you will be able to try easily your stuff without any problem. So what you have to do now is you have to like open your side quest and connect via usb, and then we will install this apk on your headset. Okay. On your side quest, if your headset is connected, you just have to drag your APK to the top left corner, and in the section, you can see there is one task running, And in the bottom there will be a pop-up saying the task is been completed. So all tasks completed. Now in the headset you have to do some steps to check this game out. In the MetaQuest headset, you have to like go to your quick settings. Then in the settings option, in the left panel, you have to scroll down and search for an option named as privacy and safety. In that option, you will be having sub option named as device permission, and you have to check this on, which is enhance spatial services. Now you just have to launch your application and you will be having this UI balloon blast, and in the right you will be having a debug menu where you can easily see all your logs. So then start, create a game, look at your logs, and you are all set to try this balloon blast game from scratch. You have understood all the concepts and it will be very fun. Just figure out any errors are there in the console panel and hit continue, start game, pinch 3 times, and the game begins.